Needle. We are coming to you from Zoom and Instagram. We love our communities. We do try to read in comments and anything that's on the screen from both places, but just want to greet y'all. For folks that have been with us before, this conversation is going to feel a little different. And I don't know about y'all. I think this is going to be a part of what my heart needs tonight.
Me too. I'm just going to put our slides up. Full screen mode. We're not going to slide too much tonight, but officially welcome you to the final show of this series of Election 2024 Move the Needle, Tools for White Women, Femmes, and Thems Voting Blue in Red Communities. And it's kind of a bittersweet evening for me. So welcome Zoom and welcome all our friends on Instagram. We've got some resources
Nope.
which we'll share
Nope.
later.
Ma'am.
We won't. We'll stop sharing. We'll stop sharing the screen right now because I do whatever Jess tells me to do.
Thank you very much. We will share all resources, but for now, we're just going to connect with each other. Thanks, Patricia. And with that, is it okay if you take us into our grounding exercise?
Oh, yes, that's what we were going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to apologize, everybody. I am so scattered. I have just noticed the last couple days, like even my beloved Christopher has said to me, I asked you that like an hour ago and you said yes. And I was like, I wasn't there. Was I there? It's like, I don't know. So to attempt to ground us all a little bit more, what I would love us to do is to, if you have at your uh, immediate connection, a pen and a piece of paper. We're going to do a meditation. We can do it without pen and paper too. So if you don't have pen and paper, don't worry about it. But it's sometimes nice to write. So whatever feels comfortable as I do this, um, uh, just feel free to either write it down or shut your eyes and take a really deep breath. And here's what I want you to imagine. Deep breath. I want to imagine that you are walking on a path, a beautiful fall path on a crisp fall day. You can feel the wind. You can feel the wind brushing past you. You can hear and see the leaves falling down all around you. Beautiful fall colors, whatever your favorite fall colors are. And as you travel this path, you as you are today, I want you to imagine meeting future you, walking towards you on the path. Imagine what future you would be wearing. We're going to say 20 years from now, future you. What are you wearing? How are you walking? What is your attitude? What is your energy? And as you come together with future you, I want you to hold hands, reach out and just connect your hands, current you and future you. And then I want current you to say to future you, at the close of the 2024 election, I am one who. And you can finish that sentence 2 or 3 times. So I could say something to my future self, like at the end of the 2024 election, I am one who is in despair. At the end of the 2024 election, I am one who is holding fast to my community. Finish the sentence however you'd like, 2 or 3. If you have just one, that's fine too. If you have any questions on this, feel free to ask it in the chat and I'll make sure that my instructions are clear. So just take a couple breaths to imagine what your current self would say to 20 year in the future you as you hold hands on this beautiful fall path. At the close of 2024 election, I am one who. And just breathe into that. Wherever you're at right now is totally fine. And imagine once you convey what you're feeling to yourself, your 20-year in the future self, imagine that self wrapping you in the warmest hug and just embracing you wherever you are. Take a deep breath on that embrace. And now put yourself in the place of that 20-year in the future you and complete the sentence as well. So, you in the future, speaking to your current self, 20 years after the 2024 election, I am one who. And you can finish that sentence however you want. There is no wrong answer. This is you in the future talking to who you are right now. 20 years in the future, after the 2024 election, I am one who. And take a deep breath on that. And once you've heard your future self explain to your current self what you have become after this election, imagine another embrace, really warm. Your current you holding your future you close. Imagine what that person feels like under your fingers and how connected your heart feels. And take another deep breath. And then slowly, with love, keep walking. If you have your eyes closed, feel free to open your eyes and come back into the room with us. Breathe. I'd be really curious if anybody had any physical reactions to that.
I just felt the space in my chest expand. Mhm.
I had a bit of a giggle.
What is the giggle? Do you mind sharing what your
My
current
future
self?
self, my future self says to current self, same girl, same. And I just felt like it was funny, and I think she would say that.
Same girl, same. I do this practice called soul collage that you do this kind of thing with images, and it's a really powerful practice of pulling out your intuition, right? I know things that I haven't put into words. And I'm also, it's almost like to me, it's like a magic spell of speaking your future and what your intention is. And that I am one who, that's the magic spell. You know, like if I had to answer this question right now, I am one who is afraid. I am one who does not have any idea what comes next. I am one who is listening to voices, and they're all over the spectrum. You know, it's we're going to explode. We got to get out of the country. We got to do things, you know, just tons of voices. And then, you know, there's other voices that are like, well, we focus on the work. I can still be afraid.
Yeah.
And then future self is like, man, we kicked ass. I am one who took names, kicked ass. I am one who wears orange almost exclusively. We talked about power colors before we got it here. Everybody, what's our power colors? Orange is my power color.
Speaking of who we are,
Yes.
I would love to bring us into space. Thank you so much for joining us on this. For folks that have been with us before, you know that this is already a departure from previous conversations, and we felt like that was necessary tonight. My name is Jessica A.S. Letaw. Last name rhymes with seesaw. First name, uh, I lost track of where I was. Last name rhymes with seesaw. Most people call me Jess. And I am one who has had a lot of cotton in my brain this week. And I am also
Oh,
one who
God,
is
I know
okay with
feeling.
that.
Yeah.
I am a white, cis, queer woman, originally from the South, adoptive daughter of the Midwest now, housing and racial justice organizer. And I bring a lot of questions and confidence and uncertainty into most spaces that I am in, including this evening.
Sorry.
My
I am
impeccable
Patricia
timing is all.
Berry. I'm a kombucha drinker. It could be beer, but I can't tolerate beer. I'm a white cis hetero woman. I'm a salty Buddhist, and oh my goodness, have I dug into salty Buddhism and thoughts around my beginnings in Buddhism, being trained by Jesuits, which are also a bunch of salty Catholics. I'm in a relationship with a white cis hetero male, and we have had many, many conversations about what is going to come next for us. Um, I am one who is probably aggressively optimistic while being quite grounded, if I have an I am one who statement.
Can you put your why in terms of I am one who?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to do whiteness?
I... Yes, please.
I am one who longs for community and connection and transparency and loving relationships that are grounded in the ability to have hard conversations without being excommunicated. um, and I've spent a lifetime pursuing that. How do we build community that is trusted, trustworthy, and able to disagree in a way that moves us forward?
I
And
am one.
that's why I came to this conversation. I'm sorry, Jess.
No, that's fine. I have a sonic anti-bark deterrent in my house. The barker is barkering, and turns out the sonic detector goes straight into my headphones. So
So
I am
you
a
have
little
you
mess.
have a squeal in your head.
I would just like to point out that I am not barking, so it's working on half of us. Um, I am
Wow.
one
We
who
just found a tool for white women.
that's going to come up in therapy later.
Oh yeah.
I am one who believes that sustained transformative change can only happen in collective action and solidarity. I am one who believes that white women have lost our sisterhood for a long time, and that we have an opportunity to reclaim healthier, more generative ways of being with each other, including healthy generative conflict. And I am one who believes that policy and politics are important, necessary, and interesting ways of making change. And so Move the Needle is interesting to me and compelling to me, and has been quite honestly a bedrock for me these last few months, because I believed and believe, I believe in the power of white women to make a better world.
Oh, Melissa, thank you. That is such a beautiful I am one who. Thank you for sharing that.
Ooh, Melissa. Melissa says, I am one who grieved. I am one who restructured myself. I am one who kept going. I'm going to jump onto the Melissa train. When we've talked about this project with folks, the very first question that we got from a lot of people was, why white? And quite honestly, the election results bore out why we wanted to work on this project. White women, the largest single voting bloc in the United States. White women, our voting percent went up from 47% in 2016 to 53% in 2020. And while it is far too early to do any realistic parsing, nobody's going to have voter files until next year. Some exit polls suggest that white women went for Trump 55% this year. So we felt like it was important. We have had and have a responsibility to all of our Black and other sisters of color, including Vice President Harris, to stay engaged and change works. We can do that by doing what a lot of us do best, starting in our own emotional backyards. Y'all, I wonder if we can do our expectations in a somewhat more abbreviated way this evening, because I'm feeling a push to move us into the conversation for tonight. Is that okay? Okay.
What am I supposed to be saying?
I'm going to start us off, but if this is your first time joining us, please go back to earlier conversations. We unpack the group expectations in more detail every time. This time will be a little bit more abbreviated because I want to, Patricia's done such a lovely job of taking us out of our heads and putting us into our bodies and into our futures. And I'd like to keep us there. But in the spirit of continuity, and this is for myself as well, we have 4 working agreements for Move the Needle conversations. The first is that as white women, we have no right to comfort in this learning, although we acknowledge the courage that it takes to show up for it. Would you like me to do it,
hit a
Patricia?
blank if you would be so good as to keep going. Yeah,
I'm happy to do it. Thank you. The next one is that we resist binary thinking and false dichotomies. Those dichotomies are false. The next is that we welcome conflict. We welcome generative. Another word for that is healthy conflict. We lean into necessary disagreements and work on being real instead of just being nice. And the last one is that we ask for the speed that we need. That courage of leaning into difficult conversations can, it does require courage, and sometimes we just need a beat to think about what we're hearing, to think about what we're feeling, and to be able to process that in a productive and non-reactive way. So our final working agreement with each other is to ask for the speed we need.
Thanks, Jess. Hi, everybody. I'm Truly. I'm your chat facilitator. I am one who I am one who thrives with love and am motivated by like-hearted community. And my future self says, same girl, same. So in the chat today, I encourage you to please chime in. We learn from each other. We grieve with each other. We create change with each other. You are my like-hearted community, so I'd like to hear from you. You have 2 options when you're chatting. You can click everyone on your little drop-down menu that goes to the whole group, and that's wonderful. If you want to share something that's lifted up in an anonymous way, please click hosts and panelists. We can do that for you too. Instagram, we're going to do our best. We love you, but my brain only goes in one place at a time. And then also our closed caption is available on Zoom, so feel free to click down on that more button. You'll see captions, or you can see a CC. Depends how big your screen is. So go ahead and look at that. And then just in the chat, we're going to keep comments on topic, conversation respectful, and keeping in mind that we are all at different places in our learning journey. So we're going to, understand that as we move through it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, y'all. I appreciate that. I need to come clean and say I'm wrong footing Truly and Patricia almost constantly by asking us to do something different every 2 minutes. And I just y'all are being so great about it. I appreciate you.
I'm going to have an appreciation for you both that this is the new professionalism.
Yes.
That we're allowed to be human. We're allowed to have a moment of like, hey, I'm cotton-headed. Could you help me out? So
Thanks.
I appreciate that you both are here with me in this conversation so that when I lose the thread, you pick it up for me.
We're good. We're all in a good place. We're here and doing things a little bit differently tonight because we feel it's important to be still when we need to. Analytically, I want to remind us, for folks who knew but forgot, or tell us for the first time, for folks who don't know, analysis, talking heads, y'all, it's too early. And I don't just mean we don't know what happened. I mean, we're not going to have the voter files until the middle of next year. So We have exit interviews, we have narratives, we have anecdotes, we have a lot of stories, and we've got already theories are proliferating, a million ways from Sunday about what happened. We don't know. I think it's worth reading up. I think it's worth listening, but please don't feel like not paying attention to every number and every think piece means you're falling behind or not doing democracy right. Absolutely not. It's way more important to lean in to what you need in this moment. Be still. Listen to the inside of your mind. The world is often really busy, and one of the terrible and great things that lockdown of 2020 gave us was that we couldn't stop hearing the insides of our minds. And that's partly why the world exploded with Black Lives Matter. We could not escape that pain and that brutality, and we could not help but rise up against it. Now can be another one of those moments, but we have to let ourselves be quiet. Don't mistake movement for action. When we're hurting, the easiest thing to do is to rush to a keyboard, is to rush to a book, is to rush to yell at, fill in the blank. I'm not going to say that any of those things are wrong, but if you're doing it because you're hurting, trying to feel better, it may not be making the positive change in the world that you're hoping for. Listen, not only to yourself, but to marginalized, impacted, harmed individuals and communities. What are they asking for? And I gotta say, pretty explicitly, women of color, and Black women in particular, are asking white women, to varying degrees of politeness and no judgment whatsoever, shh.
The narrative I'm having a hard time with is the shocked.
Sure.
That it's let's absorb for a moment before we're so shocked.
I know what you mean. I'm pausing on that because I was shocked in 2016. I am pretty sure I probably said some horrific things on Friends threads uh, uh, 8 years ago. But part of what I did, my work, as I mentioned, is in housing justice and the built environment. Part of my work that I assigned myself in that moment was to go listen to Black architects and especially Black women architects, and understand kind of what was going on in that community because I didn't really know. I just thought all architects were the same until I realized that that wasn't the case. So I had my own version of shock. And a lot of my racial learning journey came out of realizing that I was centuries late to learning game on that. So this is in no way a commentary on your experience, but I'm not, um, I don't feel like I'm in a judgy place about people who are astonished by the outcome of the election. Part of what I'm going to say in a moment is to invite white women into more solidarity behavior in these, especially really challenging first days and weeks and months. But I want to get to that in a moment because the first thing that I want to do is talk about the idea of co-liberation. One of my very favorite quotes is, "If you have come to help me, you are wasting your time. If you have come because your liberation is bound up together with mine, let us walk together." That's from an Aboriginal activist group in Queensland, Australia in the 1970s. This is not about how we save the world. This isn't even about how we save ourselves. This is about how we come together, really and truly. There's a beautiful quote from this book, Let This Radicalize You by Kelly Hayes and Miriam Kaba. Let me see if I can get to it quickly. I hope I can. Effective organizing does not begin with having the most compelling argument or the most dazzling direct action, but with developing the capacity to bring people into relationship with one another. If you are here at Move the Needle, it is because you know how difficult it can be to bring people into relationship with each other over difference. So you understand the urgency of the work and the fact that the election, as we said all along, it wasn't the end, it wasn't the beginning, it was a milestone, and we are here for the long haul. For some people, you feel like it's going to be okay, but I'm worried about the people around me. I'm worried about my queer nephew. I'm worried about, my trans son. I'm worried about my Filipino family. I'm worried about, whatever. And I appreciate, and I think that that's really important to think about all the different ways that this election is going to impact a lot of folks. And also, this is going to affect all of us in some way or another, probably in ways that we can't foresee right now. So again, we are not here to save anyone. We're not setting anybody else free. We are here in coordinated struggle. I'm going to remind us of Tawana Petty's framework of thinking about how to challenge anti-Black racism. She encourages us to move past solidarity. I am so sorry that that happened to you. Past allyship. I understand that I have privilege and I will speak up. Past co-conspirator. I'm going to listen to Black leaders. I'm going to listen to Black women, and I'm going to follow everything that they say. Tawana encourages us to go past all of that and go to co-liberation. I will learn from Black leadership, but I don't need Black people to lead me in order to challenge white supremacy. I will tap into a legacy of non-Black anti-racists and abolitionists who challenge racist structures in their own families. It is not possible for me to be fully human as long as Black people are dehumanized. Understanding that we are setting all of us free in this struggle against anti-racism, against the patriarchy, against extractive capitalism, against homophobia and transphobia, against xenophobia. Understanding that is going to be key to keeping our fires lit for a really long time. And while it's important for us to understand that we are here for everyone, we don't have to do everything. I feel really lucky a lot that one of the very first things I did after the 2016 election, and I've mentioned this before, and it's not an exaggeration. I feel the memory in my body sometimes right now. I had a 3-week panic attack. After which I deactivated my Twitter account, and that helped a lot. But like there was a lot, I couldn't figure out what reality was and who were my relationships. And I felt like I was walking around my community going, who hates me and wants me harm? That was a really, really tough time. And the first thing that I went to was a talk by Dr. June Manning Thomas, who's a writer on urbanism, class, and race. She said a lot of lovely, loving, wise things that evening. But the thing that has stuck in my mind that I have told myself 2,000 times and other people 1,000 is go to your corner. You don't have to fix racism. You don't even have to fix your cousin or your mom or whoever it was that brought you in to move the needle. You don't have to fix any of that, but what you have to know is who you are. Who are your experiences? Who do you work with? What do you know how to do? And how does that intersect with these systems of harm and oppression? With the built environment, the two things that I went to, and 8 years later, my work still centers around is Black architects, especially Black women architects in the profession, because attending to the obstacles in their careers and their triumphs helped me understand architecture in general in a way that I never had before. And housing justice. So the people and the places, understanding my phone wants me to go to bed and I'm fighting the patriarchy. Wants me to go to bed right now. I'm busy changing the world. Yes. Housing injustice, understanding how our built environment is often hostile and unsafe to the very people that we say we're trying to protect and keep safe. That was definitely a learning moment for me. And that was also when I brought my politics local. The housing is governed, regulated, and created at the local level for the most part. And so understanding how it was funded, how it was created or not created, for whom it was created, for whom it was not created, all of that fueled and has fueled my organizing for a really long time. And it's because I thought, well, okay, I love buildings. I love beautiful buildings. I mean, come on, give me a weird roof any day, and I am such a happy camper. When I started to understand the intersection between the buildings that I love and the people that it wasn't serving, that was what gave me the introduction to the path that I needed forward from the devastation that I felt from the 2016 election. So you go to your corner, okay, and then what do? I want to bring in, and this is a resource, truly, I'm going to ask for you to drop the link into chat, and we can also include this in the follow-up email. But there's the Building Movement projects, activating nonprofits and fueling change. They talk about how do we know who we are, our social roles, specifically our social change roles in times of change and crisis. This is really interesting to me, and I think it's a beautiful concept because it reminds me, it reminds us, none of us is supposed to do everything. Are you an experimenter? Are you a builder? Are you a caregiver? Are you a disruptor? Are you a storyteller? Are you a visionary? Are you a guide? Are you a frontline responder? All of us organize towards equity, justice, liberation, solidarity, drawing on the gifts that we have. I don't have to do all of those things. 9 of those things sort of panic me because not totally sure what they mean. But there are a couple of little spots on that circle that I'm like, oh, okay, thank God. I know where I belong in this. And when I seek out my people and my work, I have a clearer understanding of what I can do in those places. I have a couple of other things that I want to say. I want to check in with Patricia and Truly and see if there's anything that you want to bring into space right now. I appreciate that y'all are letting me sort of talk through my morning the way that I need to. And I just want to make sure I'm not bulldozing over you.
Julie, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, thanks, Patricia. No, Jess, I mean, you are, as always, coalescing all of the many things that I think lots of us experience. I think I was having a really difficult time earlier in the week with, this is not gendered. We know that white women play such a huge role in this, have and are. But it was often men in my life who would say, well, if only we'd fix this one thing. Oh, what's wrong with the system. Oh, and it's like, no, you don't know. There's about 1,000,001 things wrong. And most of it is racism and misogyny, both misogynoir. So yeah, you don't know. I love this idea of social change roles in crisis because it is that exactly, isn't it? It's you don't have this one answer. No one's waiting on, won't name him here, to like go ahead and solve all. We all, in fact, play a role. And it's nuanced and it's every day. Sometimes I think about the front lines librarians are on in terms of,
Oh, hell yeah.
Front lines of making sure that culture is decolonized, is welcoming, is centered in a space for all. And I don't know if anyone becoming a librarian thought, wow, I'm going to get into some real political change making work. But they have
I think a lot of librarians actually expected
Now
that
they do.
because no, I think in talking to folks who have been in the profession for decades, folks understand that they are on the front lines of protecting access to information. Apparently, that's been a radical act forever, since well before the Gutenberg press. So, like, librarians are a fiery bunch. They are misrepresented in media.
Fiery bunch, and also like if you're looking for examples of like change roles in crisis, yeah, not everyone is the activist like leading the march. Some people are librarians. So I'm just, yes to all of it, Jess. I think the punditry, armchair or otherwise, is toxic to me right now. But I take a lot of solace in the change roles in crisis.
And I just have to give a shout out if you are longing for more and who isn't a queer feminist Old West representation in science fiction romance, you must check out Sarah Gailey's Upright Women Wanted. It is novella, it is short, and it is delicious.
Science fiction, I'm going to do a shout out for in general, is a genre that, just like we did the I Am One Who 20 years in the future, science fiction is the place where we think ourselves into the next possibility. And I just think it's fascinating to watch what the science fiction writers are predicting for us. So I love that you brought that in there.
Well, Octavia Butler just calling straight up, make America great again.
November 6th, 2024.
Yeah, calling it like it is. I mean, we hope that the prescient nature of her work is not like, quite so literal.
100% literal.
I I got like a kid to raise and like stuff to do. No, but for real, it is. She often says there is no scrying. You just look at what's in front of you, and you will know the
Mhm.
future, right?
Mhm.
I'm putting a link in the chat to the Upright Women Wanted book if anyone's curious.
Oh, totally.
So good. How about you,
So,
Patricia, anything?
you may or may not know this about me. Like, I call myself a Buddhist and whatever, and I had a co-living house, and I currently live in a co-living house, and we're not doing a drum circle. I'm a very business-like hippie,
You called yourself a corporate hippie the day
a
that I met you,
corporate
and that
hippie.
has
Maybe that's
left in
it.
my brain.
But like the thing that I constantly think about is when you design whatever you're doing, architecture, for me, it's philanthropy, organizational design. I was a business systems analyst for a while when I was in New York. When you design for everybody, the design is better. When you design for equity, you actually make more money, or at the very least, you don't need so much money to fill the gaps that your inequities have created. That, like it just, I hold on to that. Like I am a business person, I run a business, we raise money. And when we do that with equity, certainly people don't want to work with me when I talk about anti-racist approaches to fundraising. And there's organizations that are like, we're not going to say no to money. But the organizations that say yes actually have more efficient and effective money. Like when you design architecturally for wheelchairs, everybody walks better. It also, spills over to children and families and strollers and old people. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of get my darn it, I don't understand. Like it just, the facts are the facts. So that's just what I think about. Like, keep designing whatever you're doing for equity. And not only will you be successful, you'll be kind of a hero, but you'll also be doing your little corner of whatever it is that we're doing.
White lady politic conversation stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to start with one specific no thank you, and then I want to move into action. White women, and I know that we don't just have women on this call, and I usually say something in every conversation. I didn't this time, so I'll say it now. If you are not a white woman, you're still in the right place. If you are not a white femme or non-binary person, you are still in the right place. This conversation is for everyone. We just know the intersection, this particular intersection of race and gender best. And so we have created tools these last several months that cater specifically to that. But I just want to say welcome to everyone who's here. One thing that I would invite us to attend to, no matter the gender, but if we are white in specifically or non-Black in general, our role right now really is to hush and listen. We had our chance at the polls, and something that I hear pretty frequently is, but I'm one of the good ones. I didn't vote for that guy. True. But white folks are so late to race organizing work. that white men and white women who are, or white women and white men who are respectively the two largest voting blocs in America, went overwhelmingly for Trump. It doesn't really matter that we're one of the good ones. We're late. Even now, we're late, and we have a lot of work to do. And we are the ones to do the work, because it's the folks who don't care about the work that are not engaging in it at all. So it's important for us to listen, especially to folks who have been in organizing and politics work for a long time. The other one is, I know that there is a lot of anxiety about how do I signal to people that I'm one of the good ones, that I'm safe, that, I am somebody that can be trusted. I have bad news for you and slightly worse news for you, and then better news for you. The bad news is you can't. And the worst news is the harder you try, um, the more uncertain the people that you're trying to signal to are about what you're actually up to. Are you signaling because you're guilty because you voted for him? Are you like where is the signaling coming from? It is never about signaling. It's about who you're in relationship with, really and truly. So if you want people to know you're safe, go into rooms where you are not a majority demographic, sit in the back, listen, ask questions when it's appropriate, work to understand. I'm not saying never talk. I'm not saying never talk. I'm saying listen more than you speak right now, because right now is a time for learning and humility. I guess I'll say it specifically. This is going to get dated really quickly, but blue bracelets, please don't. Please don't. I know that there are a lot of white women who are anxious to signal safety and feel safe. And this and hate has no home here and safety pins. And there have been a lot of different ways to signal I am safe to people that we are worried are not safe for very good reason. None of those things do it. Looking at everyone in the eye, making sure that we are being welcoming to the actual humans around us, that's what's going to do it. So please, 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 please stay away from symbols as much as you can. Don't do a blue bracelet, read Octavia Butler. Do that. Okay, so the good news is once you are in genuine relationship with folks, the safety manifests itself, right? Like you have listened, you have come into a co-liberation politic and kind of framework with the people around you. And that is what's going to signal safety. Speaking of frameworks, as usual, and we're going to get to the bookshelf in a moment, but I want to, for our books today, I want to specifically call on these as frameworks. The first one is going to be, where do we go from here? Chaos or community? This was Dr. Martin Luther King's last book before he was assassinated. And nearly every word works for today, I regret to say. The other one is Let This Radicalize You by Miriam Kaba and Kelly Hayes. And what I'm going to do is read you the table of contents for both of those, because hopefully it instills in you, as Dr. King says, the fierce urgency of now, the way that it does for every time I read the table of contents for both of these, let alone, like, I don't highlight most books, but some of them, like the ones that set me on fire, I do, and these two I do. So where do we go from here? Where are we? Taking stock, Black Power, Racism and the White Backlash. This book is 57 years old, y'all. Yeah, 57. The Dilemma of Negro Americans, Where We Are Going, and The World House. Let This Radicalize You comes from a quote from Miriam Kaba, who is a long time community organizer, specifically in the abolition of the prison and carceral state, as well as sexual violence, in support of survivors and in support of aggressors. She is just a really amazing politic about what it means to leave no one behind. And I gotta say, I'm not all the way there yet, but I am inspired by her example. So table of contents for Let This Radicalize You. And I'll tell you what, let this radicalize you instead of leading you into despair. That quote and this book have picked me up off the floor more than once. We can only survive together. Beyond alarm towards action. Refusing to abandon. Care is fundamental. think like a geographer. Rejecting cynicism and building broader movements. Violence, in quotes, and social movements. Don't pedestalize organizers. Hope and grief can coexist. Organizing isn't matchmaking. And finally, avoiding burnout and going the distance.
Mhm.
This is not a moment. This is our lives. How we show up to it now in our specific corners, in our specific struggles. It's not what we do, it's who we are. I think that was a really sober moment for me when I came into this work. Was I was like, okay, how do we fix this? How do I hit the it doesn't hurt anymore button? And when can I go back to my normal life? This is normal life. This is really what we embody when we say we have no right to comfort in this learning. The deeper you get into the learning, the more uncomfortable it gets. Welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you,
Something that's
Jess. I really, really, really appreciate the let this radicalize you. The conversations and the energy that I'm wandering around in among my family um, is really, it's a struggle with despair. And we all, feel our feelings, obviously. But thinking about what we are going to make of this moment is
Mm.
is the making of us. And Cheese the cat is also the
it
making
was
of us.
very political. Yes.
Cheese the cat has feelings.
We have to talk to him a lot about his politics and not good.
There was a question brought into chat, I'll say anonymously,
Yeah.
that I'm going to read in. All they were
Thank you.
doing was getting ahead of me by about 4 minutes. So thank you
Yeah.
for knowing where we were going. And I'm going to bring us there. How can we figure out how to make our future better at this point than what the wrong, I'll never say right, wing party wants? And the clarification was, my main concern is with our healthcare and possibilities for it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the question, and because healthcare isn't my lane, I'm going to stay away from specifics on reading, who you should be listening to. I will say, if we're going to go to listening to folks who are the most vulnerable, listening to disability activists and trans folks in the space are going to be your canaries in the mine about who is hurting and why, and what the structural problems are there. There are folks that have been in this struggle for decades, if not centuries. There is a lot to be learned. So in building towards healthcare, healthcare for all, health justice, start with the disability activists and the trans folks in the space. Trans healthcare, if we can get trans healthcare right, as Patricia was saying a few minutes ago, all of us will benefit.
Can I put in a plug, and I'll put the link in the chat. There's a great book for specifically healthcare. It was a Pulitzer finalist. It's called Under the Skin: The Hidden Toll of Racism on Health in America. It's a really great primer. I too am deeply concerned about healthcare. For me and for all, it is absolutely an intersection where co-liberation is so helpable. And it's a great book. It was really helpful for me to see just how connected it was and make sure it was centered in Black experience.
That's not Alice Wong's book, right? That's somebody else.
It's Lydia Villarosa.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
Mhm.
Linda
Villarosa.
Villarosa. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you.
There's a link for that in the chat if anyone's interested.
I live in a little town called Ypsilanti, which is about 20 minutes away from a very wealthy community you may or may not know called
Which
Ann
is where
Arbor.
I live.
And right between us is a hospital, St. Joe's. And the statistic that I think came out in, was it 5 years ago, the last health analysis?
Something like that.
If you turn right out of that hospital after you are born, head towards Ann Arbor, which is the wealthy community, you will live 15 years longer than if you are born, leave the hospital, and turn left to your home in Ypsilanti. Race, economics, capitalism, all of that stuff intersects so deeply in the outcomes of a community. Yeah. I think about that statistic all the time.
There's a comment in the chat that's really beautiful. I appreciate you bringing it in. I've seen this a number of places as well. And like, yes, right on. I saw a disability activist post, don't wear the safety pins, don't wear the blue bracelets, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask, especially as the weather's about to get colder, wear a mask. Unless you're in Sweden, in which case it's already been cold. I don't know. Welcome, Swedish friends.
All
Another
42 of you, wherever you are, whatever you need from us. We're here for you,
so
Sweden.
you're going to your corner. You are seeking out frameworks that help you structure your thinking, your feeling, your action. I would also strongly encourage you to find a political home. For some folks, it's the NAACP or the Poor People's Campaign. For some people, it's the local, state, or national political party or a caucus within it. For some people, it's local organizing groups. But what you need is a community and a politic. Never going to be 100% alignment. That's not the point. We are humans. We are all special penguins. The point is, can you agree on values and a vision, even if you disagree with the people immediately around you on how to get there? And the more that you can work in solidarity and coalition, the more likely you are to achieve those goals. So if you do not currently have a political home, I encourage you to find one. Excuse me, I have a couple. I will say for this season, Move the Needle has been mine. Move the Needle and a policy and politics podcast I run called Ann Arbor AF. Those two together really anchored me this season between understanding what was going on locally and understanding what my corner was as a white woman in politics. Those two were political homes. So the groups can look any which way, but it needs to be you in dialogue with someone. So it's not just a follow on social media. It's not just listening in rooms. It's getting in there and starting to do some messy work and yes, making some mistakes.
And being uncomfortable.
Being
Embrace the
uncomfortable.
discomfort. I'm uncomfortable all the time.
Yes.
I made a comment to somebody I love today very publicly, and I'm deeply uncomfortable about it. And
Another
then
quote from this book. Oh, I'm sorry, Patricia. I didn't mean to
that's
cut you off.
okay. I just went and checked with my people, about like, what do you think about this? Could I have done it better? And that is the gift that having a political community has given me,
Mhm.
is that I can double check myself and determine whether I'm reactive
Mhm.
or activating.
Yep. My therapist calls it crowdsourcing reality, and she says that in a non-judgy way, which I appreciate. I did want to pull Patricia based specifically on something that you said from Let This Radicalize You. Another quote, choosing to believe that change is possible and that it can only come from working in concert with other people requires tremendous courage, postscript, and discomfort. But like this work, it calls forth the best of us. It's just also hard. All right, I want to double check and make sure that we are on track. We can hang out on Zoom a little bit longer. Instagram loves to kick us off right at an hour, so I want to make sure that we're covering everything. Two next steps that I will encourage folks into, and then Patricia, after that, we will be ready to come back to slides, Insta, no fear, we'll read everything in. One is that you should get into the community conversation. It's a webcast called Centering Justice. This is led and co-led by friends and colleagues of mine with absolutely no coordination whatsoever. Their next episode in a season on deep democracy is called Radical Listening. So go from still to listening. And truly, if you wouldn't mind dropping the link to that, she beat me to it in chat.
It's in there.
Instagram, I'm going to drop it to you in a second. The next date for this conversation is November 20th. It's East Coast time, lunchtime, 12 to 1:30. Absolutely free, but does require Eventbrite registration so you can get the Zoom link. The other thing is, if you signed up for this evening, you did get an email from us, probably, except for the two of you that might have come over from Instagram. We would love to know more about who you are and what your experience with Move the Needle is. As a reminder, we are volunteer white ladies. This is not for an organization. No data will be shared. We are deeply curious to know what your experience was, because as and when, not if, when Move the Needle moves forward, we want to make sure that we're continuing to bring forward tools and conversations that are helpful and useful. So, centering justice, deep listening, make sure you fill out the survey. Like, tell us what to do. Part of what we ask is what we could have done better. It doesn't have to be all sunshine and roses and kittens, although those are all nice things. Remember, we are being real instead of just being nice. So just let us know what was useful, what were you longing for that you didn't get, and whatever the other questions were that we co-worked on together. And
My
that were
wonderful friend Melissa always says, feedback is a gift, and I hope you share that with us.
yes. So I wonder, Truly and Patricia, if we can come into our final slides, the resources, the bookshelf, support, and yep, that's the one.
There's the resources.
There's Truly, can you talk us through a little bit?
Yeah. So for those of you on Instagram, I'm just going to read it out. So on YouTube, you can watch all of the conversations, and there are so many that they're evergreen. They're not, to me, it is not specific. This work is not over, and this is all based in relationships. So if you're learning to figure out, if you're joining us later and you need to figure out the difference between, discomfort and crisis. Wait, what is it called? Discomfort and safety?
Comfort and safety, yes.
Comfort and safety.
Our biggest watch.
Yeah, I mean,
By a
it's
lot.
really absolutely helpful, because this is something that's going to go on. So go explore previous episode conversations, not episodes, previous conversations. It's tinyurl.com/move the needle playlist. You can catch up with Jess and watch all the reels if that's your preferred way of doing things at Instagram.com/Jessica Letaw Reels. Oh, Jessica Letaw /Reels. Our bookshelf, all the books that we've talked about in every single episode, is at tinyurl.com/move the needle books. This is supporting a local bookshop called Book Suite. It is a Black-owned, independent, kick-ass bookstore. You should definitely shop there. It's pretty great. They ship anywhere on Earth, or go to your library, or go to the kick-ass indie shop that is in your neighborhood. tinyurl.com/MTN Spotify playlist is all of the cool music that you have ever heard on this, if you've joined us for the pre-show dance party or the post-show dance party. Yeah, it's actually a pretty great playlist. Jess, I think that you were saying when we were looking at everything collectively, it felt like, looking in a mirror in some ways. And I definitely see that this is a story of a moment and all the culture makers and thinkers that got us here. It's really great. So go check out the resources.
We talked a little bit about both our books. So this is just to remind everybody what we talked about. Anything else to say on this before I go forward on the slide? I am cognizant that Instagram's going to kick us off at any moment.
Oh, bye Instagram.
And I like being able to say not bye in a nice way and not just bye.
You are welcome to support this work. As Jess said, volunteer led. Truly is going to put links in the chat, as well as maybe Jess will do that in our Instagram chat. But I first and foremost just want to say thank you, everybody. Move the Needle has been the gift that has kept on giving to me. So thank you for joining us for this series, and we look forward to continuing the work.
We have loved having you guys. All right, Instagram, I'm going to say goodbye to us. Zoom hangout, we're going to do a little dance party.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing the slides for the dance party.
And the recording, please.
Because we can say anything